Magic the Gathering has hundreds, if not thousands, of iconic cards. But what if we remade the top 20 of them using artificial intelligence? Let's see if Urza's AI can make these cards just as interesting as Wizards of the Coast did. What better way to start off the video by talking about Jace the Mind Sculptor? Urza's AI makes this a 4 and a blue 2/2 creature zombie shaman with flash. It also has fear. When this creature enters the battlefield, you may move a blocker or target card from your graveyard onto the battlefield attached to it. Jace the Mind Sculptor deals damage to target creature or planeswalker equal to the numbers of mana in the game you started with the last player to established a campaign or initiated a new campaign. This is a lot to go over, but I'm going to say that Jace the Mind Sculptor is absolutely broken, and even his robes bear his identity. I'm going to leave you with this. If Jace the Mind Sculptor wasn't already broken, this puts it over the top. Next at number 19 is good old Grand Abolisher. This time, instead of it being white, it is green. 4 and double green for a 5/5 elf druid. You may pay 2 and a green rather than pay this spell's mana cost. It has Exalted. When you cast this spell, you may return target card from your graveyard to your hand. I promise you, that's not what Exalted does. But in Urza's AI, that's what it does, and this is also just not 6 mana, it's always 2 and a green. As long as the clouds pass by Grand Abolisher, we fight with justice. I don't know which one I prefer, a 3 mana 5/5 that gets creatures back from your graveyard to your hand, or just good old regular Grand Abolisher. I think I'm going to have to take this one. In at number 18 is Kozilek Butcher of Truth. 3 and double green for a 3/3 legendary elf druid. Elf creatures you control have haste. You may cast spells from your graveyard by choosing an untapped black or white creature. If you do, that creature enters the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter on it. This thing does a lot of things, but also requires you to play black or white creatures, which I think I'm in for. Who doesn't like a good Abzan deck? The flavor text reads, "But now, after everything you did to my companions, it seems you don't know how to look at my face again." I don't know about you, but I've been smacked by a Kozilek Butcher of Truth, and I never want to see that card again afterwards. In at number 17 is Snapcaster Mage. This time it's 1 and a white instead of 1 and a blue. This time it's also a squirrel, which I'm in love with. It is a 1/1. And it says creatures you control get +1/+1. It also has flying and haste. Wow. If I wasn't already in love with Snapcaster Mage, I also don't like when my opponent plays it, but I'm also just more in love with it if I'm playing it as a 1 and a white 1/1 squirrel. It's a lord and also has flying and haste. Number 16 brings the iconic Demonic Tudor. This is a 4 mana 1/3 2 and double black horror. Okay, so this is the creature that's doing all of the tutoring. Demonic Tudor enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter on it for each +1/+1 counter on another creature you control. Okay, I've seen cards like this in the past, and they seem to be in white or green or a combination of both. This one does something interesting for black. It doesn't tutor anything, but now we know the tutorer behind Demonic Tudor. Maybe the flavor text will give us a little bit of an insight. To deliver visions of war, wisdom, and wrath, many still flee to Drogon in its cultist form. I think I'm scared. I'm definitely very scared. On to number 15, we have Sword of Fire and Ice. And oh my gosh, this artwork is amazing. I don't even need to know the mana cost, what this card does. I don't need to know the flavor text. I can look at this artwork all day. But if you're interested in what this does, it's a 4 and double red sorcery. What the card does is flavor text. Thran emerged as an obscure prophet on the wilds, peddling prophecies about their will. When others shrugged their shoulders and muttered meaningless prayers, Thran proved himself the next and final peddler. Okay, I'm in to cast this now. I don't know what it does still, but it was great to read. Now the actual flavor text. As with all paths to greatness, Thran was filled with conflicting ideas. In this world of sorcery, one can help build a ship. In this world of bladecraft, one can only be seen. So what I'm going to say here is, you cast this for 6 mana as a sorcery, and then you have to read out this flavor text and what this card does to your opponent. If they don't want to listen to you, they concede the game. If you finish reading it, you win the game. So basically you win the game. That's what I'm going to say about Sword of Fire and Ice. But I can also look at this card for days. Next at number 14, we have Gaia's Cradle. This one is a green land, however, it looks colorless. It enters the battlefield tapped. You can tap it to add green mana, so we're on the right page. You can also pay 2 mana and tap it and sacrifice Gaia's Cradle. Draw a card. Now, I'm going to say this is much, much, much worse than regular Gaia's Cradle, but you got to give it to Urza's AI for being a little bit on the right page with this being a land and also being tapping for green. For what was an empire of free lands, no fences. So maybe this is Gaia's Cradle after Gaia's Cradle land got overturned, and this is just what's left of it. I don't know, but I'm still into playing this land even if it was printed in real life. Next at number 13 is Force of Will, and you've got to give it to Urza's AI for these artworks. I love this one. Also, 1 and a red for a sorcery. You gain 3 life for each target player this turn. This is probably the most opposite thing I've ever seen of regular Force of Will, and you can compare them on the screen here. Let's read the flavor text. It will strike. Even the mightiest were the lightning and runes armies. I don't even know what to say about this. It is a red life gain card. Could you see something more of an oxymoron? I don't think if you told me what is the opposite of Force of Will that I could come up with, but AI did it. This is why you watch things like this, to see this kind of card right in front of you. I think I'm playing this Force of Will over the blue Force of Will. There, I said it. Coming in at number 12 is Swords to Plowshares. This is a 1 and a white instant. Until end of turn, each creature gains, you gain 1 life for each powerful ability. Okay, we're into subjective things now. I will decide that all of my creatures have powerful abilities, so I will gain 1 life for each of them. It doesn't even say each powerful ability on your side of the board, so you can say every single permanent on the board and every single card in the graveyard has a powerful ability, and then you would gain 1 life for each of those. I love this card. In addition to those fighting against her, Selesnya gains the spirits of each fallen assassin she has struck this turn. Oh my goodness, this art's also really good, but wow. I'm going to say each card has a powerful ability. Next at number 11, right outside the top 10, is Lightning Greaves. This is a 2 and a blue enchantment aura, enchant creature. Enchanted creature has lightning as long as it's an enchantment. Okay, lightning is a keyword now. Name in the comments what you think lightning is or does. Is it just a different type of haste? Let me know. Enchanted creature can't block. Flashback for 7 for 5 and double blue. You may cast this card from your graveyard for its flashback cost, then exile it. A towering incision resists the whip of even the biggest vengeful flames. Is a lightning mechanic or keyword something super broken? Or is it something that's just kind of middling, like it has haste, but it can't attack on your next turn, or some kind of drawback with something that's good with haste, but also has a different drawback, like haste, but +1/+0. And then next turn, something bad happens, like it has -1/-0, like some kind of drawback. I don't know. Or is lightning just a strictly better version of haste? Let me know, but Lightning Greaves will give lightning to your creatures. Cracking the top 10 is Atraxa, Prater's Voice. This is a 1 and a blue legendary creature demon. It is a 2/2 with flying and haste. Whoa, even before reading the ability, 2 mana 2/2 flying haste is really, really good. It has a keyword called Deceive, which I don't know is a keyword or not in Magic. I'm not sure. If you know of this keyword and it's actually a real thing, let me know. When this creature enters the battlefield, target player loses 1 life. When this creature leaves the battlefield, put its convicted player onto their library instead. Okay, so this card makes you as a person, as a player, stand on top of your library. I had to laugh at that. That is hilarious. You're also convicted, though, so you've done a crime. Let's read the flavor text. Hate it or flee. It isn't a demon's sin to see. Oh my gosh, this even writes poems. That's awesome. Sariana, champion of death. Okay, this doesn't write poems. Sariana writes poems, but here's the flavor text. Let me know. This might be the most interesting card we've gone over so far. Here's Atraxa, Praetor's voice. Coming in at number 9 is Cyclonic Rift. This is switching out the blue mana for green. It is 4 and double green for a sorcery. Choose 2. Sacrifice Cyclonic Rift and cycle 2 target creatures. The second one becomes an target for this turn if it's the target of a spell or ability. I don't know what this means. I don't know how you can sacrifice a sorcery, but AI knows best. Knows more than I do. Cycling 2 target creatures, which means the creatures have to be on the battlefield, and then you cycle them. Why would it be named Cyclonic Rift if you don't cycle creatures already on the battlefield? How would you do this? Do you sacrifice the creature and then draw a card? But what about the choose 2? What are you choosing? I guess the second one becomes an target for this turn if it's the target of a spell or ability, but this is also a spell that's targeting? Okay, I'm confused. I think my brain's exploding, but it's interesting nonetheless. The flavor text is a horn of nymphs or trees overflows, flooding all rivers and creeks, filling every ditch. This art is absolutely amazing. It's like a tsunami going onto a city, but it's also green. Let me know what you think about this card. This card is awesome, even if I don't understand it. Number 8 is Sword of Feast and Famine. This here is a white, black, red for Mardu 5/6 for 3 mana. It's a shapeshifter, and it does absolutely nothing. Now, a 3 mana 5/6 I don't think has to do too much for it to be good. So I think I'm going to play this as my 3 mana 5/6 shapeshifter, and it also goes in every single tribal deck. So if your tribal deck needs a 3 mana 5/6, this definitely goes in it. Let's read the flavor text. All grassland war was bloody and tumultuous, but those in the palace rode out in front of the conflict to wage it as only war does. Oh my gosh, this doesn't even need to do anything. The flavor text says it all. It's a 3 mana 5/6. It's in Mardu colors. What more could you want out of a Magic the Gathering card? I do have to give a little bit of a caveat. It's a shapeshifter, but it doesn't technically have changeling, but work with me here. Here at number 7, it's Ancient Tomb. It's not a land, it's a 2 and a white, 3/2 creature Tajamaga Warrior. Whenever a non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, tap target permanent. It doesn't say non-land permanent, so you can cast a flash creature and tap your opponent's lands down. That sounds very interesting to me. Here's the flavor text. Once you win the match, those inscriptions might begin appearing in other graveyards, more fitting than your tomb's former beauty. I have to give it to this art again. It's an ancient tomb, and either these warriors here, these Tajamaga warriors, are excavating it, or they're going into the ancient tomb. Either way, you'll love to see it. Here at number 6, we have Emrakul, the Aeon's Torn. Now, this is a significantly less mana cost, significant downgrade, 1 and a white, 2/2 legendary elf warrior. It has double strike. This creature deals both first strike and regular combat damage, so the AI has got the double strike keyword correct. Let's read the ability. Emrakul, the Aeon's Torn deals double the damage of any other creature that shares a color with it. Does that mean if there is a red-white creature next to it with, say, 4 power, then Emrakul, the Aeon's Torn does 8 damage? What if there is more than one creature on your board that's also white? What if there's a green-white creature, or maybe another red-white creature? maybe a 5-color creature with white in it, like maybe a 6/6 or something. This does double the damage of all of them combined. It does say any other creature that shares a color with it. This is your 2 mana, 12 damage or more creature. Oh my goodness. Okay, if you didn't like playing against mono white aggro, you will not like playing it even more with this version of Emrakul the Aeon's Torn. The flavor text reads, "Some naiads swear to end it," and this creature definitely swears to end the match very quickly. We're on to the top 5. Here's Command Tower. It is a 3 and Azorius sorcery. And it says target player loses 2 life. Now, if this doesn't say I assert dominance, I'm the control player, I don't care what spells I play, I win the game, like this card does. You're about to win the game with your Teferi Hero of Dominaria ultimate, exiling every single one of your opponent's permanents, but right before your opponent presses the concede button, right before that happens, and that last permanent gets exiled from that ultimate of Teferi Hero of Dominaria, you cast Command Tower to make them lose 2 life, literally just to assert dominance. If this isn't a blue-white control player card, I don't know what is. Here is a little bit more information from the flavor text that we can say about this. To gather information from an oncoming army, build towers in the perimeter. To ward them, order up several cannon, each chucking an arrow of their chosen color at the leader. Oh my gosh, if this doesn't say assert dominance, I don't know what it is. Number 4 is Mana Drain. This is a 1 and a blue enchantment. You can pay 1 and a blue and tap it, discard a card. You gain life equal to the discarded card's mana value. Okay, this kind of does sound like a card that Mana Drain would say. Mana value into the graveyard, you gain that much life back, you're technically mana draining. I see where AI is going here, and I'm all for it. The inevitable act of mending is unutterable to any master. I think if we're going for flavor, for the flavor win, I think I prefer this Mana Drain over the real Mana Drain. It at number 3 is Mana Vault. 2 and a red for a sorcery. Target player sacrifices a permanent they control. Return it to its owner's hand at the beginning of the next end step. So I can see the flavor here. You sacrifice a permanent and then return it to be used later, kind of like you're putting it into a vault to be taken out years and years from now. In Magic, it's just the beginning of the next end step, but I guess you could do that with your own cards too, to kind of reuse them. Yes, you're using a card to reuse a card that you've already used, but what if it's a card like Agent of Treachery or something with a really good enter the battlefield's trigger, and it's also any permanent. So if you want to reuse that artifact or enchantment that already got its value, and it's still hanging out on the board, you can reuse it with Mana Vault, store it in the vault, take it up back into your hand to be used later on, and you can also just use it on your opponent's cards. Maybe they sacrifice a land from it, but maybe they sacrifice another permanent and put it back in their hand. I like the flavor behind this. Let's read the flavor text. Why does one fail the last time? This card's very interesting. Let me know what you think about it, but I like the flavor. Coming in at number 2 on the list is Mana Crypt. It's 3 and a black for an enchantment aura. Enchant land. Enchanted Land is a 5/5 land card with enchantment. It's a land card with no duration. I don't know what no duration means, but I'm going to think it is indestructible. No duration, it stands the test of time. That's kind of where I'm going for this. And if it's standing the test of time, then that probably means it's indestructible. That's what I'm going with. A 5/5 land indestructible for 4 mana is pretty good. It symbolizes stability. The combination of Greek icons, melodic serenity, and dynamism sets a steadfast frame for Krozen Norga's lifeless meditation. Okay, after reading that flavor text, I'm gonna say it definitely means indestructible, and I like it. And look at this art. That definitely, if you thought about what a mana crypt looks like in your mind, that's definitely what it looks like. This is what we've been waiting for. Number 1 is Soul Ring. 1 in a green for a creature angel, and it's a 1/3 with no abilities. If a Devourer could fit on Soul Ring Hander, he would find himself next to him. Exactly, that's exactly what I was thinking. Totally Soul Ring Hander and finding himself next to him that the Devourer could fit on definitely was what I was thinking about. I realize I say definitely a lot. It's okay, I'll get over it. It's just a phase. If you've seen one of our last videos of the Urza's AI, you'll see us do another version of Soul Ring, and I thought it was going to be as broken as the last one. Spoiler alert, the last one was way more broken than even the real Soul Ring, but this one kind of averages it out a little bit. This art looks amazing. I see the ring with the angel in the artwork, and 1 in a green for a 1/3 angel. This is what I needed for Soul Ring to be, a little bit more balanced to the world. Anyways, if you did find value in watching this, top 20 most iconic Magic the Gathering cards as Urza's AI. Take a look at some of the other AI videos on this channel. Give a subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content like this, and like the video to have it reach a little bit more people. Thank you very much for that, and I'll see you in the next one.